Okay, so let's talk about diabetes. So you go to the doctor because you haven't been feeling well, you're having fatigue throughout the day and things like that. So he tests your blood sugar. And then he comes to you and he says, "Sir, ma'am, you have a greater than 300 blood sugar. You're now diabetic at this point." So instead of telling you why you're diabetic, he just says, "Okay, we need to set you up on metformin. You possibly have to be on sliding scale insulin and this and this and that." And if you're lucky, if you're in a hospital scenario, let's say, you may get a visit from a dietitian, and they'll say something along the lines of, you need to be on a four carb or 5 carb per meal diet. You have to balance it for this much insulin, and they'll attempt to educate you in a quick scenario. And there's no real mention of why you have this problem, okay? So obviously everybody's stressing to you that sugar is the enemy, but to understand diabetes, we really need to talk about sugar. Okay, so here's the truth about sugar. Your body loves sugar, your body needs sugar, and it needs it so much that it actually creates its own by a process called gluconeogenesis, okay? So it doesn't even matter the form. It will break it down to glucose. It will use that to make ATP. Everything's running along happy, right? The problem is we have too much sugar in the Western society, especially. Okay, back in the day, you'd be lucky if you got 2 tablespoons of sugar every month or every couple months or so. Humans, on average, in the West, consume 350 to 375 pounds of sugar average per year, in the United States especially. Okay? So, here's what happens when you introduce sugar into the body. So you introduce this sugar into the body, and the brain says, oh, we have sugar. It triggers the pancreas to excrete insulin. Insulin goes out, attaches to little receptors on a cell. The cells have these little doors that open up. The door opens up, the sugar comes in, it gets metabolized, energy is created, everything is happy, okay? So, at some point, that door stops opening up. And why? Why is that? Okay? And this is something that mainstream medicine doesn't address. Most chronic diseases are deficiency diseases, right? So there's something deficient going on there. Okay, so in 1940, the American Diabetes Association started, and their whole quest was, we're going to find a cure for diabetes, right? Okay, so in 1959, 19 years after the foundation of the American Diabetes Association, a doctor named Dr. Walter Mertz figured out that chromium was essential in the process of insulin action in diabetes. And he actually was quoted as saying, diabetes is not a disease, it is merely a lack of GTF chromium. Okay, so for the last 77 years, the American Diabetes Association has widely ignored that study. There's been other studies of people who don't eat complex carbohydrates. Tissue samples showed that their chromium stores were higher. So we've known that this is something that's essential in that process. And they figured out through other studies that vanadium has some action in there too. So that's a pretty important one. So their idea is put you on metformin. Okay, so they put you on metformin. That shuts down the process of gluconeogenesis. Once again, we're getting into this atheist reductionism, allopathic medicine, where the body doesn't have any way to repair itself, so they just have to shut down processes to manage symptoms until you die of it. Okay, and what they're doing is they're also stopping sugar metabolism, sugar uptake in the gut as well with that. So after a while, that quits working. So their next solution is to start filling you full of insulin, okay, on a sliding scale for however much you eat. Okay, and they've got this down to a science. So since you already have lots of insulin in your blood, that's not opening the cell doors anymore because you are deficient, right? It's by pressure alone, it starts punching holes into the cells. And the sugar starts getting metabolized, your blood sugar goes down somewhat. But after some time, the cell starts dying, so you get this diabetic neuropathy. They can't feel their feet and hands, and then eventually they have a foot cut off. All they had to do in the first place was replace what's missing, and the body will heal itself. The body wants to fix itself. It needs to fix itself. So if you have diabetes, head on over to my website, www.dietsciencerevolution.com. Go to the top, click on chronic diseases, It'll have a drop-down menu, select diabetes, and follow my protocol there. And if you think you need help through it, you can schedule an appointment with me. I'll get together with you. I'll walk you through it. If you have any other comorbidities as well, I can help walk you through that and figure out, how to get your body restored again, how to get back to health, how to change lifestyle habits, how to get you off your medications, how to work with your doctor in removing the medications as necessary so we can let your body bring its processes back, its natural processes to help you heal. So head on over to the website now and please click like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And watch my video on the website, Foods That Harm, and try to follow that the best you can. You have to get away from some of the bad foods, reduce inflammation in the body, get the gut in order, things like that to get the body healthy again. So hope this video helps you. Have a good one.